Ladies and gentlemen, our referee has called a stop to this contest, declaring the winner by knockout and new MMA show! Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting round of and new MMA show. I am your host, Michael Hansen, and I do all kinds of stupendous things using microphones, but chief among them, I am a professional ring announcer and MMA cage announcer, and I am joined, as I always am, by my two friends who bring MMA punditry to new heights. On the left side of your screen, joining us from New York, Mark Priaulx. Mark, what's up, buddy?
What's happening, boys? I'm ready to go. I always love these episodes where we get to preview an enormous card, so I'm hyped for that.
Yes, sir.
I got the PFL championships going on the side over here. We happen to be recording as they are happening, so we can't preview them for you guys, but we can live update them for you if anything noteworthy happens. So I will do that for you.
Absolutely. That is dedication, folks. Watching MMA while discussing MMA. All right. And joining us on the right side of your screens from Florida, Omar Artola. What's going on, buddy?
Pretty much the same. I got PFL on one half of my screen. I got you boys on the other half of my screen, and Clarissa Shield just walked into the cage, and I'm super interested to see what happens. I got to be honest. Also, Halloween's about to come up, and your boy is about to be Gomez Adams. All of this is about to go, and I'm kind of sad about it.
Oh wow, I'm very curious to see what you look like next
week.
week.
I'm not. I haven't been like baby shaven since probably around Mike. Like before Mike.
Wow. When we met back in like 2012.
Like 2016.
Oh, okay.
2013.
Let's name all the
2013 and 2016. That's when I worked at that store.
Okay.
So that was when we knew each other. But after I came back from Spain, I got a little, I got a little hair.
You take Halloween serious, don't you?
I mean, I got a wife that makes it fun. Honestly, when I was growing up, it was something like I had to go to Jersey to do because I grew up in the city. So it wasn't really something you don't go around the apartment buildings trick-or-treating.
Right.
So I went to Jersey to do that stuff. And like, as I got older, it just became harder to do. And costumes didn't really fit the right way anymore. And puberty was an awkward phase. And, it was kind of weird. And now, like I said, my wife and I really enjoy it. We have like projection shit up in our house for spooky stuff. And
nice.
I bought a bunch of candy for these. It's the one time a year I like kids. So I'm excited to kind of give out some candy. We got like she's going to be Morticia. We got the whole ensemble. It's exciting.
Nice. Well, we have quite a bit to get to with this UFC pay-per-view coming up this weekend. So let me quickly run down this episode. We're going to start, as we always do, with On the Marquee. We're going to recap a couple other fights from this past weekend. We're going to do our lightning round from the UFC Fight Night this past Saturday. We're going to hop into our Priaulx rankings and then go inside the MMA sphere. And then we will look ahead to UFC 267 this weekend. So, boys, before we get to any of that, to our audience, thank you for joining us. Please like and subscribe to this video. Subscribe to the channel, rather, on YouTube. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts for the audio-only version of the show. Subscribe there as well so you never miss an episode. And, of course, find us on social media at @andnew_MMA show. That about does it. So, gentlemen, let's get into this first segment. This is On the Marquee. This week, On the Marquee has got to be Marvin, the Italian Dream Vettori, who last weekend at UFC Fight Night, Vettori versus Costa, defeated his opponent Paulo Costa by unanimous decision, earning a 48-46 on all three judges' scorecards in the 5-round main event. Mark, let me start with you. What did you make of the performance by the Italian Dream, Marvin Vettori?
What a fantastic fight. I mean, the lead up was a mess, and I wish that we got to see it at middleweight. But those things aside, they still gave us a great fight. First off, I really didn't love I don't know why this is my first off, but this is where my mind went. I really didn't love that point deduction from Jason Herzog. If we're gonna go a route where like every eye poke is a point deduction, then fine. But we haven't gone that route yet. So usually you don't see the first eye poke of a fight be a point deduction. And Herzog jumped right on it right away, took the point right away. There was no like visible warnings prior to that. He says that he said something, but no one even heard it on the broadcast or anything. So I didn't love that eye poke. Thankfully, it was 48-46, and Marvin would have won even if it was 48-47. So it didn't affect the outcome. Right. I just wanted to note that. But either way, that fight was really close. Like it's closer than you think in your head because of the 48-46. If that deduction doesn't happen, then it's 48-47. And round one was a close round. Like if Costa did a little bit more in round one could have been his round. So I just want to give Costa his credit. Like he didn't, 48-46 sounds like wasn't that close. That was a close ass fight. But yeah, great win from Marvin. He looked fantastic. Honestly, that man's number one quality is that his head is made of granite.
Yeah.
Like you cannot hurt him. But he did throw a lot more volume, which is good. Kind of the last few fights, it seems like he's suddenly become tentative, especially against Izzy, which I get because of the counter striking, but he needed to show that he can come with that volume, and he absolutely did. So that's good to see. And Costa friggin' brought it, man. Not only did his gas tank last all 5 rounds, but he won round 5. So what can you really say about the guy other than that he should make fucking weight? But, they gave us a banger. That was a great fight. It was a great showing from both guys, and especially Vettori really showed out.
Omar, what did you make of Vettori's win, and what did you make of Costa in his defeat?
It was definitely a great fight. Obviously the biggest issue was the weight, and kind of the ending of the fight being sort of like, what did this really mean as far as the 185 rankings? Does Vettori move up? Hopefully he does, and he, that wasn't a complete waste of time as far as that part is concerned. But I was actually really impressed with Vettori. I honestly thought he was going to get completely run over when it came to the weight issue, when it came to the grappling. But he really didn't. He's actually very, very effective throughout that entire fight. Personally, I think round 5 was probably his worst round overall, even though, like you said, round 1 was close. I think he ended up taking 3 and 4, if I'm not mistaken, as well. It was 1, 3, and 4. Those were Vettori's rounds.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think 5 was really his best round. The second round he lost because of that head kick. He took a stumble, and he was getting attacked at that point. It was ridiculous that he was even alive after that head kick. That's number one. But Vettori was fantastic in that fight. I thought his pressure throughout the entire fight was absolutely insane. Had Costa on the back foot a lot in that entire fight. And Costa, you could see throughout the entire fight, especially after the second round, his, while he was still fighting, his confidence in his power was starting to wane. It was like Vettori wasn't going to go away, and those one hit shots were not going to make it work. And that's what Costa, I think, relies on a lot is his power to knock people out, to get body shots into those people, and just wasn't happening with Vettori. He was able to eat pretty much everything in return, and it'll be a lot more effective and a lot more. There's a lot more volume on Vettori's side. So, fantastic fight from both guys, though.
In 24 professional fights, Marvin Vettori has never been knocked out and never been submitted. The man has never been finished as a pro.
I was just going to ask, have we ever even seen Marvin Vettori hurt? I'm trying to think. I'm Mike, you have his record up? Run through like his UFC fights, just the names of the guys. And I want to see if it triggers him ever being hurt in my head.
Alberto Uda, Antonio Carlos Jr. beat him by unanimous decision. Vitor Miranda, Omar Akhmedov, majority draw. That was his one draw in his record. Then he lost to Izzy by split. Cesar Ferreira, Andrew Sanchez, Carl Roberson, Jack Hermanson, Kevin Holland, Israel Adesanya again in the title fight, and then Costa.
Yeah, for some reason the Akhmedov fight, I'm thinking maybe he got cracked. And I can't remember I remember that Carlos Jr. beat him, but I can't remember the fight. But Yeah, I mean, the guy he eats every shot like nothing is happening to him. Like it's
Yeah.
really, if it wasn't for that, I'm not trying to knock him. He
No.
wouldn't be this level of fighter. Like his chin is literally what his best thing he brings into the cage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing that I think was a big takeaway for me personally watching that fight was how fucking good Izzy is. Because Izzy
Yeah,
made
man.
both of them look like clowns,
That's a
frankly,
great point.
in both of their fights.
Hell yeah.
Costa way more than Marvin. And that was probably in due to the fact that Marvin has a head made of granite. That was probably really what that was. But that fight between Marvin and Costa was crazy, but they have a real issue like moving their head. Marvin especially. Marvin doesn't really like to move his head a ton.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he does, he moves it into a head kick.
Right.
So
Doesn't
very
matter.
odd choices
Doesn't matter.
of when he's moving his head and when he's not.
He has a get out of jail free card, which is a granite head.
Well, Frank Yeager thought that too until your boy started getting knocked out. So just can't clock all those miles and expect it not to come to bite you in the ass.
I think it's a combination of a granite head and also Vettori. One thing for him, when I watch him fight, that is sort of a redeeming quality of his, is the guy just has this spirit about him that he just wants to win and compete so badly, so badly. I mean, all these guys are competitors. All these guys want to win, but he just wants to win that much more.
We should point out that in the fight, Vettori, I believe there have been now some various numbers, but I believe Vettori was around either 206 or 208 in the cage. Yeah. And what's his name? Costa was about somewhere between 220 and 225.
Yeah.
That's fucking madness.
Crazy. 40 pounds over the limit of the weight that he was supposed to fight at.
Just imagine the fact that he probably had to still cut 15, 20 pounds maybe to make weight for that fight, which was supposed to be a middleweight fight. He still had to cut that much weight to make the 205 limit. And he's bitching about them making him go up to 205. Dude.
Yeah.
He's blaming it on an injury. I don't know if you heard that. A bicep injury, which I don't fully understand how a bicep injury prevents you from losing weight. I didn't listen to his whole explanation, so maybe it made sense, but
no, it didn't.
Hearing that on the face of it, I'm like, what?
It was one of those moments where it made Marvin sound really smart because Marvin heard that and they asked him about that excuse, and he was like, well, having a bicep tear doesn't mean you don't have to run. Can't you run to take weight off? Is that not how that works?
And sit in saunas and do like whatever else. Yeah, I
mean, let's be real. He's bullshit. He's bullshit. It also happened during camp, which means that he's saying basically that he had to take time off of training completely to heal this bicep injury.
Mm-hmm.
It was during camp. As far as I'm concerned, most of this stuff should be going on throughout camp. Running shouldn't really be part of an issue when it comes to bicep injuries. And you had how much time after that shit repaired to keep making weight?
Yeah.
Seems odd.
And the diet. Losing weight, it's all about the diet in camp, isn't it?
Right.
I mean, also, I don't understand why he's even that big.
He's in great shape.
But why is he that big?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. As we said last week, he's going to have to figure it out because he is going to be at a serious height and reach disadvantage if he has to go to light heavyweight. And you can tell he does not want to go.
Yeah. He's a tweener for sure. He's one of those guys that would benefit from a 195 division, but
Claressa's on her
he
back.
He wouldn't have made 195.
I mean, I guess.
Either way, this these guys, after all their awkward banter, they turned in a middleweight classic. Yeah. It really was. It was a great fight, 5-round fight, back and forth. Two guys who are both tanks in their own ways. One guy is a tank who has incredible bludgeoning power, and the other guy's a guy with a granite head who throws volume and has skills as a wrestler. And I think Vettori was first, just way more often, but Costa always has that threat and landed bombs.
No, he did.
Yeah, he landed a bunch of leg kicks, body shots. Like he was landing. He was giving it to him, man.
It was the volume, though. It was the volume and the pressure.
In the 5th round, the body was starting to hurt. You could tell Vettori
Yes.
was feeling the body. That was the one thing. Like if we went into round 6 and 7, I would love to see what would have happened.
Vettori's arm too. Don't minus the fact that when you're blocking those kind of kicks, head kicks and body kicks and stuff like that, he's blocking with his arm. It doesn't look like, you know, I don't know what it looks like maybe to the average person. I can tell you right now, that shit hurts like mother.
Yeah.
It hurts. And especially I can only imagine what Costa's kicks feel like.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised Vettori's arm didn't just snap in half and just fucking fall backwards while he was blocking at least one of those ridiculous kicks.
Right.
I mean, it's really credit to Vettori's conditioning in his body as well that he was able to take as much punishment as he did, because a lot of those kicks were bad kicks.
Yeah. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about at middleweight. Let's not think about Costa at light heavyweight just yet, but at middleweight, where do these two guys go from here? Let's start with the winner. Let's start with Marvin Vettori. Mark, where do you want to see him going from here?
So for my money, that performance just slid Marvin Vettori into being the bronze medal at middleweight right now. I think he's the third best middleweight in the world currently, behind Izzy and Whitaker. I'm seeing people suggest that he should fight the winner of Cannonier and Brunson, which I don't like and I don't get. Like,
really,
it's Cannonier and Brunson to me is for the title shot. Like, let the winner of that fight the winner of Izzy and Whitaker. We don't need to make it this endless road to a title shot. Like, Cannonier and Brunson are there. Let them have that fight and let the winner get their title shot. Vettori's just fought Izzy. It doesn't need to be fight Vettori again to get there.
Yeah.
So to me, let me clarify one thing on this point. If Whitaker beats Izzy and we are going to do an immediate trilogy, then things change. Then it's like, okay, well, Vettori maybe has to fight the Cannonier Brunson winner. If Izzy wins, I'd much rather see the Cannonier Brunson winner fight Izzy and let Vettori fight Whitaker, which is a fight that we haven't seen yet, and a fight that would really let Vettori show if he is just the runner up to Izzy, and that's his spot in this division, and a huge opportunity against a huge name. So that's how I would book him. For Costa, it's harder. Obviously, Dana is saying that he wants him to go to light heavyweight. Costa seems like he's very against it. If he stays at middleweight, there's plenty of options. Like, you can go Jack Hermanson. You can go Sean Strickland if they're not going back to the Rockhold looking for him. You can go with the Cannonier Brunson loser. Like, he hasn't fought any of these guys. He's barely fought anyone in middleweight yet. He hasn't been around that long.
It's true.
All these fights work. All these fights are good. If it's light heavyweight, it's harder because, like, at least if it's me, I don't want to kill Costa's star that much. I don't want to put him in there with a killer if I'm forcing him to fight light heavyweight. So maybe like Ryan Spann, like someone like that. I would go a little bit less name value if that's where I had to put him.
Okay. Omar, what about you? When you look at the middleweight roster right now in the top 5, top 10, who do you see next for these two gents?
Yeah, it is kind of hard. It's hard without taking time, and I don't know how much time Vettori wants to take off at this point. Do you know when the Cannonier Brunson fight is? I can't remember off the top of my head.
I don't, but let's look. They said that Izzy Whitaker is in February.
Yeah, they pushed that back another month. Yeah. And so at this point, that would be what, 3-4 months, maybe something like that, which is probably going to end up being probably close to 8 months from when Marvin Vettori.
It's only a couple. The Cannonier Brunson's only a couple weeks before Izzy and Whitaker.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're looking at least 8 months then if Vettori's waiting for either one of those fights to finish and then book him against one of those guys.
If you're not waiting for those, I don't really see what other options you have.
That's the thing. Unless he fights down or just takes an opportunity for some money or something like that, then that is what it is. But if you're asking like what fight makes sense, none of them really do. I would honestly just take the extra 20-30%, whatever the hell you got from Costa, and just go on vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as Costa's concerned, I personally think he does need to fight at 205. I think Kelvin got that same treatment when he kept messing up. This was a big fuck up on his part, like huge. And I think Costa does need to go to 205. And if he goes to 205,
wow.
I do. I think if he can prove he can go to 185, that's a different story. But I think he needs to take a fight at 205 and prove he can even make 205. Like, let's make sure we can get you there first, because he's he's playing way too many games with the weight at this point. The way he tried to game everybody this past week was disrespectful, to say the least. So he needs to go to 205. I don't really know what you do with him in 205. I don't really think he deserves a top 5 guy necessarily. But if you did want to throw him in with anybody in the top 10, you can throw him in with any one of them, and I think it would just be a semi-interesting fight, regardless of who it was.
That being said, let me take that as an opportunity to segue into a real quick little sidebar. Where are you guys at on the whole more weight classes thing? I think it was Rogan who was was a somewhat vocal advocate for that kind of thing. Are you guys up or down on that?
I've always been fine with it.
Yeah,
same. I think a lot of people hear the talking points that Dana makes, and I don't agree with them. And I think people eat those talking points up and just take them as fact. One of them being that it'll dilute the divisions and that there won't be enough talent in the divisions, which I think is complete garbage.
You think so?
I think it's complete garbage. I think there's more than it. First of all, I think there's a ton of talent as it is. I think they do a great job finding talent, period. I think the weight cutting issues will be a lot less if you got people that are able to make weight in their weight classes. You discourage them from jumping weight classes. You stop it now as it is. Why can't you stop it then?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Get a guy to come in on a weight class, have him stay there. There's no reason for him to be bouncing back and forth, at least not at first. Super fights might be a little bit more interesting down the line because you'll have more super fights that probably make sense. I don't understand why they think that these gaps are proper. And that's the way it is, and that's the way it needs to be, and we're not going to change it.
So it's really just two, right? There's the gap between middleweight and light heavy. That's like a 20-pound gap.
155 to 170 is 15 pounds. 170 to 185 is another 15 pounds.
Right.
And then 185 to 205 is 20 pounds.
So to me, there's two. There's the gap between middleweight and light heavy, and then there's just 170 is whether or not you split 170.
Right. The argument is you add 165, you get rid of 170, you add 175,
right,
and 195,
and then you add 195.
I think lightweight and welterweight, I think certainly have enough talent, enough depth to fill those divisions, and everything would be fine. And you also would potentially have more guys vying for 2 belts, guys going for 2, maybe even 3 belts. There's plenty of promotional meat on the bone here.
And I think the other thing too is, especially when you're building any division, you're going to have a moment during that time frame where shit's going to be weird because we don't really know who the best is. We don't know, what's going to shake out once you start throwing people in there, especially when it comes to the light heavyweight division now. Look at it now. Jan is all of a sudden the champion, but is he? You know what I mean? Like there's still a lot of questionable things that can go on in that division. It's definitely not the way that it was in John Jones era, where we knew John Jones was pretty much going to win every fight.
Yeah. Well, guys, let us keep this thing rolling, and let's move over from the UFC to the Bellator side of last weekend. And guys, we had the legend of legends make a triumphant return to the Bellator. I don't know what to call it. Just circle. It's just a circle.
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's a decagon, isn't it?
No, it's a
circle.
circle.
It's a circle. Yeah. He returned to the circle. Okay. Fedor, the last Emperor Emelianenko, defeated Timothy Johnson by knockout at 1 minute and 46 seconds of round number 1. Mark, let me start with you again. What did you make of the big knockout win by Fedor, aka Fyodor?
Well, let's hope that translates well.
Oh, dude, an ad popped up right when the was gonna drop. How terrible! You can't be worse.
Keep it in.
Brutal. Broke my heart. B was gonna drop hard on the Fedor Classic. We're back. It's playing for a second. Can you hear me over the Fedor music?
Yeah, of course.
Love it.
I think he's a Fedor fan.
Classic.
Mark, let me ask you, do you like Fedor?
I'm curious as well.
Just a bit. You cannot make me much happier as an MMA fan than having Fedor knock someone out in 2 minutes. That was incredible. It felt like we were transported through time. The hand speed was still friggin' absurd. That 3-piece combo, straight right, left hook, right hook kill shot was gorgeous. And folks, it is the year 2021, and the 45-year-old Fedor Emelianenko just reinserted himself as a top 15 heavyweight in the world. It's insanity. And honestly, Omar should have gone first because I know he's going to bring us down, and then I should have brought us back up. But whatever, this is how this is going to go. You have to understand, Fedor didn't just KO some random. He KO'd Tim Johnson. Now, we're not huge Tim Johnson guys because of his style and his personality and whatnot. But allow me to share with you, this man, Tim Johnson, was ranked as the number 13 heavyweight in the world on World MMA rankings going into this fight. I will give you the list for clarity's purposes. 1, Ngannou. 2, Gane. 3, Stipe. 4, Lewis. 5, Blades. 6, Volkov. 7, Rosenstrike. 8, Overeem. 9, Dos Santos. 10, Moldavsky. 11, Aspinall. 12, Dawkins. 13, Tim Johnson. 14, Congo. 15, Sakai. Now, for reference, Minakov would have probably been ahead of him, but he was out because of inactivity. So maybe he's 14, but then you could also say Overeem's done with MMA. Dos Santos might be, so maybe he's 12. Like, Tim Johnson was up there on world rankings, and Fedor put him down in 2 minutes. Fedor, 45-year-old Fedor. So you got to give this man his respect. He is arguably now the number 12 or 13 heavyweight in the world. Who the hell thought that a couple years back, that he could reinsert himself in this way? So it was fantastic. I felt like I was watching Pride Glory Days again. You can't script it better than that went. It was beautiful.
Nice. Can we get the music again real quick?
Yeah, we can. Please hold. When you heard this song, you knew you were about to die. And he didn't walk out to it in Bellator. Not cool.
Omar, go.
It was a good performance. Don't get me wrong. I'm just not.
Wow.
I'm just not. It was. I enjoyed it. I mean, listen, it was a good knockout. Tim Johnson fell flat on his butt. He was completely out. It was great. But at the same time, like, I'm just not sold on this whole, like, Fedor. I feel about him the way I feel about Arlovsky. I'll watch. Mm-hmm. It's a good time. But, like, it could be time at this point. It'd be okay if you just hung up the gloves, said, I appreciate you, and walked away. That's all.
I'd like to see that again. Arlovsky versus Fedor. Run that back. Now that they're both geriatrics.
This is why Omar should have gone first. How depressing is it in here right now, everyone?
Oh boy!
I'm so sorry. This podcast brought to you by Ben Gay.
All right, Mark, give me, where do you think in the Bellator picture here, Fedor Emelianenko goes next?
Honestly, what do you do with Fedor right now?
What do you do with him?
Reason being, first of all, how many fights does he have left? It sounds like maybe one. It is the plan. So you're looking at the Bellator heavyweight division. It goes, your champion is Ryan Bader. Your interim champion is Valentin Moldavsky, 1 and 2. After them, your 3 and 4 heavyweights right now, in whatever order you want to put them, are Fedor and Czech Congo. Mm-hmm. That's where he is. He's that high in the rankings after beating Tim Johnson. And Tim Johnson just beat Czech Congo. So you could argue Fedor is now number 3 in the rankings. And Minakov just lost. So he's not about to get inserted into the rankings above him either. So what do? You have Bader fighting Moldavsky. Obviously, if Moldavsky wins that fight, he's Team Fedor. So that is not happening. But if Ryan Bader beats Valentin Moldavsky, are you telling me, as Bellator, you're passing on booking a Ryan Bader Fedor rematch? because I sure as hell am not. You get your Fedor farewell fight for the title, a chance to avenge a KO, a chance to walk into the sunset as the Bellator heavyweight champion. And to me, that moment is worth it to have your champ walk away, because then you have Bellator forever linked with Fedor as your heavyweight champion. And to me, that's worth it simply for the moment. Plus, if he does walk away, you can just run one of these tourneys that you're so good at to crown a new champ.
Yeah.
And you're going to be fine. So to me, I don't see anywhere else you can go. Now, if Moldavsky wins, it kind of ruins the whole thing. I don't know what the hell you do with Fedor. I really don't. If Bader wins, I think you have to do that. Maybe Fedor gets KO'd again by Bader. Maybe it's sad. I think you got to do it. It's too big of an opportunity to not do that, in my opinion.
Omar, as a Bellator fan, how much do you want to see Fedor avenge his loss to Ryan Bader?
You have to remember the motto that I live by, Mike. I'm always down to watch Ryan Bader get knocked out. Always.
I feel like this is on a post-it like next to your bed.
It's my tramp stamp tattoo.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm always down. Listen, like I said, I will watch, but I'm also not going to be sad if he ends up retiring unexpectedly.
Sure. I mean, the guy's been fighting since like the year 2000.
Since I was like 11, 10.
I don't know how you can retire coming off your hands looking that good.
Yeah.
I don't know how his hands even looked as good as they looked.
But that's true. And I'm always sad when a guy retires off a loss. But
right,
then
which is
right,
the risk you run if you put him in there with Bader, who's obviously quicker than him.
Realistically, though, Fedor is not going to get better. Fedor fights the way Fedor fights. Tim Johnson fucked up. I mean, that's just the plain and simple truth of it. He fucked up.
I don't know. Is Ryan Bader reinventing himself fight to fight?
Ryan Bader, for all the shit I talk about Ryan Bader of today would beat the shit out of Ryan Bader from like 6 years ago.
Fair enough.
Oh, agree. And he handled Fedor pretty easy simply because he was so much his hands are not faster, but he was so much faster on the feet and was able to threaten the takedown and have Fedor a little frozen, and then he just caught him, which
didn't he drop him with like a jab?
Yes, I believe that's correct.
Yeah.
So it's very possible that's what happens again, but I don't know how you pass on the chance to have Fedor knock out Ryan Bader in the middle of the ring and hold the Bellator Heavyweight Championship up in the air.
Yeah, that would be quite the lasting image.
Guys,
let's keep marching down this card. Congrats to Fedor Emelianenko with the big knockout win in the main event of Bellator 269. Let us now jump down to the co-main event of that Bellator event. Saeed Sowma defeated Vitaly Minakov by TKO finger injury at 3 minutes and 8 seconds of round number 3. Omar, let me start with you this time. What did you make? What were your impressions following this win by TKO by Sowma?
So I did not see this fight. I do remember getting text messages from Mark about this finger injury that happened during this fight and how this is bullshit. So I'm going to get some more information about this from Mark.
Take it, my man.
So this was an odd fight. Minakov looked good in round 1, and I honestly felt like he might finish Sowma at any moment. But Sowma, to his credit, he kind of opted to fight like this defensive fight where he was doing a lot of backpedaling, a lot of circling, and it kind of limited Minakov's ability to land that big blow that he's so known for. And then in round 2, Sowma landed one calf kick that you could immediately see hurt Minakov, and he ended up slowed down the rest of the round. It kind of let Sowma steal it. So it was 1-1 going into the third. In the third, Minakov did seem to be moving better. It was basically an even round, and then boom, finger dislocated, fight's over right away. They didn't give him any chance to pop it back in or anything, which he did pop it back in pretty quick, but the ref already waved it off. Mm-hmm. Now I have no idea who would have won the fight. I'd like to say Minakov simply because I have so much more reason to trust him in a big spot. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. There was only about 2 minutes left, and it was close. So really what this fight kind of said to me is I don't know that it's going to happen anymore for Minakov. And if I may, I will expand quick on what I mean by that for people who may not be as familiar with Vitaly Minakov. He's an interesting case. He's almost like Fedor light in the sense that he spent years as a top heavyweight in the world, but kind of never burst into the mainstream. It just never happened. So for reference, in 2014, Minakov was 14-0 with 12 finishes and was the Bellator heavyweight champion. He had just finished Alexander Volkov and beat Czech Congo. Then he has this contract dispute with Bellator or whatever it was, ends up going back to Russia, fights in EFN and FNG, and isn't seen back in the States until 2019. So that's a huge gap. It's a 5-year gap. Now, granted, he went 7-0 during that time, bringing his record to 21-0 with 19 finishes, and added some more solid names to his resume in that time. Then he doesn't fight for a year and a half. There's UFC rumors. I remember myself at the time. I was excited. I was like, this is going to be awesome. He's going to fit right in, like top 5. We're going to see what he's really got. It never happened. He shows up back in Bellator, as I said, in 2019, arguably looking a little bit slow after the year and a half layoff, and he loses a close fight to Czech Congo that a lot of people did think he still won. I remember thinking he won it, but it was close, and it kind of took away from his aura a little bit of being this killer that he was. But then he gets his aura right back by obliterating Tim Johnson in, like, I don't even remember, like 3 minutes, something like. I mean, he crushed him. So it was like, all right, like, things are happening. Then we get this other 2-year layoff, and he shows back up in this fight with Saeed Sowma, of all people. And honestly, he looks good, but like not so, like, you didn't feel like you were watching like one of the top guys in the world. And plus, Saeed Sowma is like not that guy. So I'm a little concerned that the window may have closed. If I'm Bellator, I'm running this right back because you have a reason to, because of the injury, and I'm hoping Minakov like wins it and you still have him to build off. But I don't know. It almost seems like we may have missed it, that he's already kind of going on the other end, and we may never get to see him really fulfill what he could have been. So kind of disappointing, but I feel like we'll have a full opinion after maybe one more Minakov fight when he's not so rusty coming off a 2-year layoff.
Okay. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, I feel like I had to educate the masses on Minakov.
I was good. Thank you for the education. Nice. And now, gentlemen, let us hop back over to the UFC side of this past weekend's recap to UFC Fight Night Vettori versus Costa. But let us throw the remaining bouts from this card into our lightning round. All right, boys, lightning round. If you're a listener and it's your first time joining us, lightning round is our non-competitive competition between Mark and Omar, where I basically have them give me a 1 bullet points synopsis of their take of the fight. So let us begin. We're going to work down this card. Here we go. Grant Dawson and Ricky Glenn draw. Mark, go first.
Grant Dawson's grappling is fantastic. It's really hard to get him off you, but Rick Glenn provided exactly the type of test that I was alluding to last week when previewing this fight. I did score this a draw. 1-2 to Dawson, 10-8 in the third to Glenn. There's an argument to be made that maybe Glenn's third wasn't so much more dominant than Dawson's first. So I do get that. But I gave him the 10-8 there simply because Dawson seemed like he might have gone out if Glenn had a few more seconds. Mm-hmm. And I know I'm already talking long for a lightning round, but I just want to make one more quick point if it's allowed. Grant Dawson was not out. I saw this on Twitter. I saw a lot of people, oh, he was out. And Rick Glenn was yelling that he had to stand up. He was not out. He went right to his knees. Then he laid down out of exhaustion. Then he hears everyone yelling about how he has to stand up, and he stands up by his own self. So I don't know what his take is of, oh, he was out, because he was not out. The end.
Okay. If there were points in this lightning round, you would have lost points.
Yeah.
For that. For that long take. Omar, Dawson and Glenn draw. What's your take?
I kind of have to agree, to be honest. I thought it was a great fight. Dawson's ground game is fantastic. I personally had the last round 10-9, so I had Dawson winning that fight 2-1. Wow. At the same time, I don't really know what that controversy was at the end. He was tired. The fight was over. He laid on the ground. I don't know. I think it was just somebody trying to game the refs or the judges or whatever they were trying to do. It was a dumb. I thought it was stupid.
It is true that you have to get up. Like, you can't just stay down when a fight ends. But, like, he was very clearly, like, looking around and the whole deal. lightning round. Sorry, I forgot it. I'm blowing this lightning round. Fuck.
Bruce Leroy, Alex Caceres defeated, I'm going to butcher this guy's name, Sung Woo Choi by submission by rear naked choke at 3 minutes and 31 seconds of round number 2. Omar, go first.
It was a good fight. Choi actually had significantly better striking from what it looked like against Caceres, because at least he had Caceres' number at the very minimum. But Caceres was able to persevere like he normally does, and was able to get his ground game in the mix in that fight, and was turns it around because he was getting tagged in the first round with some big shots, and turned it around in the second and was able to pop on his back and choke the boy out quick.
Mark, Caceres subs Choi. What's your lightning take?
Alex Caceres is awesome. Like, how do you not love that guy? He's great. But as far as the finish, you could actually see Alex looking for that multiple times before. I remember at least 2 times specifically where he was looking for that duck under to the back, and he finally got it. So you could tell it was something that he saw on tape that he thought he could pull off. It took him a few tries, and then as soon as he got to the back, it was academic.
Francisco Trinaldo, unanimous decision over Dwight Grant. Mark, take it first.
I don't think I've ever seen such a clear draw that 0 out of 3 judges scored a draw. Like, I don't understand it. Trinaldo won round 1, Grant won round 2, round 3 was 9-9 with the point deduction. I don't know how you scored any other way. And if anything, the controversial round where you could, not controversial, I'm saying the one where you could maybe argue was you could say Grant won round 1, which would make Grant the winner of the fight. There was no way that Trinaldo was the winner of that fight, yet that's who won. So I'm super confused.
Omar, Trinaldo, controversial UD over Dwight Grant. Take it.
This was the biggest bullshit I have ever seen. It was as clear as day, this decision, as far as I'm concerned. It was 1-1 going into the third. Trinaldo kicked him in the balls and then poked him in the eye in like a matter of a minute. Got a point taken away for the eye poke. And that round should have been 9-9. I'm not really sure where the controversy comes from. The hilarious part was when they're reading the scores, one of the judges scored it, I think it was 29-28 for Dwight Grant. And you could hear one guy in the background. I don't know where that man was sitting, but you could hear him go, "What?" It was because it didn't make any sense. None of that scoring in that fight made any sense whatsoever. That fight should have been a draw, and the fight that was a draw shouldn't have been a unanimous decision, in my opinion. Just weird judging.
Gregory Rodriguez, second round knockout over Jingliang Park. Omar, take it again.
Dude, this was a crazy fight, man. Park had Rodriguez on the ropes for a little bit, especially I want to say it was in the second round where he had him, He cracked him, he had him going back, he was stumbling, he was definitely on queer street for a minute. And to Park's credit, he was putting it on him. The pressure was intense. He had him against the fence, and Park got cracked himself and just didn't take it as well as Rodriguez did, and just ended up going down like a sack of potatoes.
All right, Mark, take it.
Yeah, what a war that thing turned into. I mean, they were freaking going at it. But for Rodriguez to be as renowned for his jiu-jitsu as he is, and be 2-0 primarily behind his striking in the UFC thus far, is a very good sign for his potential in this division.
Jeffrey Molina, second round TKO of Daniel Lacerda. Mark, go first.
Yeah, so obviously not how, by the way, he's Daniel Lacerda and he's Daniel Da Silva. I'm not sure which. He's one of these guys with just multiple names.
Brazilians, man.
But yeah, not the ideal debut for him because he lost, but he honestly looked fun. Like he showed some skills. So I'm interested to see him again, but just a relentless performance from Jeffrey Molina and a beautiful straight right. He's good. He's going to be in some interesting fights soon at flyweight.
Omar, Molina TKOs, Lacerda, De Silva, Jesus, Rodriguez, you take it.
El Jefe is the real deal. That boy is one to look out for. I'm going to put him next to the Adrian Yanez name. I'm gonna keep looking out for Molina now every time he comes out, because El Jefe is for real, man. That was a great fight.
Yeah.
Anatoly Tokov. Am I saying that right, Mark? Split decision over. I'm not even gonna try to say it. Tokov wins by split. Omar, go first.
I did not watch either one of these Bellator fights.
Okay.
I shall take
Mark, take it.
it. So Anatoly Tokov did exactly what was expected of him. The split was ridiculous. That was an easy 29-28 or even 30-27 for Tokov. I don't know how you possibly score it the other way. But he mentioned how he believes he should be fighting Mousasi. And honestly, I'm very interested to see it. He is a composed, skilled fighter who can hang anywhere the fight goes. And I think he's one of the better challenges that Bellator can present to Mousasi at this point.
Okay, last one, Mark. Give us your lightning take of Usman Nurmagomedov first round sub over Patrick Petila.
Yeah, add another scalp to the list. Can we please give this man some real competition? I mean, Usman himself got on the mic and was basically like, all right, what the fuck? Like, can I fight someone who's someone like post-fight? So yeah, can we do that? Because we don't need to just keep crushing cans at this point. We're aware that he's very good.
Thank you, gentlemen. And that concludes this week's lightning round. Sponsored by Squid Games. I'm kidding. All right, guys. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you're still with us at this point in the episode, thank you so much for listening and watching. Like and subscribe. Hit the thumbs up. Subscribe and never miss an episode. And of course, follow us on social media at @new_MMA show. And with that, let us now hop into our Priaulx rankings. Mark, give us the update off of UFC Fight Night, Vettori versus Costa. Who has risen and who has fallen in your ranking system?
So we have a few this week. I'll start with the faller, which is Grant Dawson. I had him ranked pretty high. I had him ranked number 11 at lightweight. He falls to number 16 off of the draw with Rick Glenn, who's somewhat of a lesser name, so he had to fall somewhat. So Grant Dawson, I now have it's number 16 at lightweight. The risers, we got a lot of them. First one is Ricky Glenn, rising from number 34 to number 18 at lightweight. He's an interesting case. This is a guy who kind of, I don't want to use the word journeyman, but he was kind of just a solid guy at featherweight for most of his career. And then he makes this move up to lightweight where it's like, well, I'm not sure how that's going to go any better. And here he is drawing with Grant Dawson, who was like one of the hottest prospects there is right now. So he moves up to number 18 at lightweight, which is higher than I ever imagined I would be ranking Ricky Glenn. So good for him. Next, Alex Caceres moving from number 50 to number 28 at featherweight.
Wow.
Now, I know I rank him lower than most people. I freaking love the guy. I wish I could rank him higher. I never understand how all these places rank him so high because almost all of his wins are against random type of fighters. So I'm happy that I can finally move him up into where I actually feel like he should be off of this win over Choice. So he's now my number 28 featherweight. Three more, a little less noteworthy movers, but Gregory Rodriguez, who we mentioned, moving from number 49 to 39 at middleweight. Now that he's 2-0, great finish. He is a name to watch for sure. And then two guys who got their first UFC win, Jamie Pickett, moving from number 64 to 53 at middleweight off of beating Laureano Staropoli. He needed that one to keep his job, moves up off of it. And then the last one was a nasty knockout, which is Jai Herbert. He is a name who was hyped coming into the UFC at lightweight, and he had to face two tough veterans in his first two fights. Neither went his way, but I'm really happy that he bounced back with this KO here because I absolutely feel like he belongs in the UFC, and if he had lost, he might have lost that job. So he moves from number 79 to number 56 in my lightweight rankings off beating Kama Worthy, who's solid himself. So a big move for him.
Nice.
And then I also will say that I am watching PFL here, and the Ray Cooper Magomed Karamov fight has begun. I think the first round just ended. So I will try to give an update if anything crazy happens. And I was not really watching, but I'm pretty sure Claressa Shields lost. So much for that hype.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say that, to be honest, because she's not like she got dominated. She was actually doing really well on the feet, but she got taken down and she got controlled by a bigger girl.
I suppose that was bound to happen to her.
That's the thing. Like, I'm not really surprised that
if it happens already, it's not a great sign.
Yeah.
I disagree. I disagree. I think she hung in there as well as she could. I think there are obvious things she needs to fix, but it's still early in her MMA journey, and I think that was bound to happen. I think until you get your ass beat to that extent, you're not going to get better. And I think Claressa Shields is not the type of person to go in there and have the same thing continue happening to her over and over and over again. So I think it'll be something that she fixes.
I would love to get the take on Clarissa Shields from boxing.
That's a good point.
Word.
You have any fallers? Did you mention that already?
I did it first, Grant Dawson.
Oh, you did it first, Grant
was
Dawson.
the faller.
Okay, thank you, Mark, for the update on the Priaulx rankings. Let us now leave that and go to our next segment, guys. Let's keep this thing rolling. Let us now go inside the MMA sphere. Omar, what current events and stories do you have? What headlines?
So it's actually a quick MMA sphere this week because I want to get into a lot of the fights that are happening this upcoming weekend. So wasn't a ton of news, to be honest. At least nobody got their ass beat or was beating on their wives or anything like that. It's been a nice, relaxing week as far as that's concerned. Bigger news amongst the less known news: Mike Perry off to BKFC.
Yeah,
no longer with the UFC, out to bare knuckle boxing. I gotta say, very apropos.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say, I feel like I'm not surprised.
Yeah, honestly, I think he could really be like the face of BKFC.
I mean, maybe. I just mean him going and doing bare knuckle just seems like an inevitability.
Yeah. I'm happy for him though. I hope that really works out for him, and
I hope he makes a lot of money.
Definitely be watching
and gets minimal scarring.
Well, God knows that man's gonna get paid way more there than he was getting at the UFC. Has to.
I guess so.
Yeah, I mean, because he'll be a headliner there.
Yeah, I mean, as popular as he was on the UFC welterweight roster, he never strung together enough wins to really get up into that upper echelon in terms of fighter pay.
Yeah, but he's got enough notoriety that in BKFC he becomes a commodity, whereas in the UFC, not so much. He's very replaceable in that sense. But BKFC is still trying to rise their talent, get their roster up. They still need names to bring people into their sport to begin with, because a lot of the people that they have that are actually very good, no one knows who they are.
Right.
So you need people like Mike Perry to be the face, like Paige Van Zandt. All these people are in there to like bring eyes to BKFC. So I think it's a great moment for him, and I think he'll cash in pretty nicely there.
If he does well, I think he's an easy star for them.
100%.
Sure.
Especially with the personality. He's got that rugged, bare knuckle kind of shit. I think it works out really well for him.
I hope he goes in there and freaking murks a couple dudes.
Same.
And gets paid. He gets paid. I feel like MMA is a sport, maybe combat sports in general is a sport where if you are sort of an eccentric character, it bodes well for your career. Whereas in other pro sports, it is not good for your career.
It's interesting.
In other pro sports, if you're a character, you're kind of seen more as like drama.
I think it depends. I think it depends on what kind of character, right? Because there's in sports, you have a lot more guys that tend to want to be more role model-y, right? Like that's sort of like the expectation in a lot of the other pro sports. Where in MMA, a lot of these guys don't really want to be role models. They kind of just want to do their own thing. And like, look at Sean Strickland. Nobody should be role modeling after that man. Nobody.
See, it's easier in MMA because it's an individual sport.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if you're Mike Perry and you're on a team and you're like kind of unreliable in certain ways and whatever, that's why people are going to cast you in a negative light. When it's just you, it's like, man, I hope Mike Perry can get his shit together. You know what I mean? So it's kind of different.
It was like that guy from one of the, I was watching some baseball game, and there was a dude with dreads on. I forget his name. He's super popular. He was on the cover of a recent baseball game that got released. And
Vlad Guerrero Jr.
Who?
Vlad Guerrero Jr. Fernando Tatis Jr.
Maybe him.
Could either of those could be.
But they were talking. I mean, his teammates were like yelling at him and like cursing him out and stuff like that, because I guess they were pissed off that they didn't make it to the playoffs, and he was pissed off about it, and he was like blaming the team for it and like talking about how he's really good. He should have been in the playoffs, and this is ridiculous. You guys need to pick up your slack. And all the teammates lost their shit on him like that. And
I'm curious who that was. I didn't hear that.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure.
My guess is it's Tatis, but I'm curious.
Oh, Tatis. Yes, that sounds familiar.
That's who it is?
Yes. Oh. Yeah, I think that's who it was. Yeah.
All
so that's my point is you could have a character like that in MMA and it would be, inviting almost, whether for better or worse. But when you're in a team sport, like Mike said, it just rubs everybody the wrong way.
Yeah. Totally. All right. What else you got, bud?
So as far as news, we got one more real big news story, and it involves the Paul brothers. Both of them seem to have fights somewhat lined up, or at least in the works. We'll start with baby Paul. Jake Paul seems to have lined up a fight with Nate Diaz. That's crazy to me. Nate Diaz, I think we talked about it last week, has one fight left on his contract. It sounds like he's going to fight out his contract at this point. And it sounds like he's not going to re-sign with the UFC. But if he does, it's very very possible that there will be a clause in there that lets him do this kind of shit on the side. If not, I doubt Nate Diaz will stick around, because I'm pretty sure Showtime Boxing at this point will probably pay him way more money than the UFC will, just based on the fact that he will be the marquee event. So that'll be super interesting to see. If Nate Diaz loses to Jake Paul, I'm done.
So he is going to need Jake Paul to beat Tommy Fury, which is no sure thing.
I guess that's true too.
If he loses to Fury, that fight goes to shit.
But that fight, no, I don't know how many people care about that fight. I don't care about that fight as much.
But if Paul loses, then I don't think he's fighting Nate Diaz.
You don't think
still a fight I'd want to see?
Yeah,
I will pay serious money to watch Nate Diaz beat the shit out of Jake Paul. Like,
I feel like this is kind of similar to your Ryan Bader policy.
Yeah, 100%. Logan Paul somehow lined up a fight with Mike Tyson.
Oh, Jesus.
The Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Who's 50 something? 56?
That man could be 75. I'm not fighting him.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's I don't understand that one. I'm not even really sure how that happened.
This is one I kind of don't want to see. I don't want to watch this, because what if Logan Paul like really messes him up, because he's old, and Logan Paul is like 6'3" and like a really athletic, jacked dude.
It's very true. If Logan Paul knew how to box, I'd be more concerned.
I guess so.
I don't think Mike Tyson knows enough boxing to not get hit straight on by one of Logan Paul's shots.
I guess I'll watch.
I don't know. I think like
I'm
all of
assume that I get to see Mike Tyson put Logan Paul to sleep, and that is gonna be awesome. That's just what I'm gonna assume.
Yeah. All the Paul fights at this point are just freak shows, but they bring eyes, and the Nate Diaz one is admittedly very interesting. So
it's more interesting. Yeah. Let's keep it rolling. What else you got?
Fight announcements. That's it for the news.
Here we go.
So we got a couple of fight announcements. Leonardo Santos versus Clay Guida. That is going to be an infinite cardio fight. December 4th. Yeah. Josh Emmett versus Dan Ige. December 11th. UFC 269. Fantastic fight.
Yes.
We are going to break real quick. I believe Ray Cooper just won $1 million.
Wow. Oh God, I must be behind.
Ray Cooper. Oh, that's my bad.
Oh my God.
I ruined it.
Behind?
He killed this guy. He killed him.
For real?
He killed him.
No way.
What point are you at, Mark?
Ray, dude.
Dude,
I'm so behind. How has this not occurred yet?
What point are you at?
I'm at 2:14. What's the time when he does it?
I don't know. I wasn't looking at the time.
I'm afraid to hit the skip forward thing.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Just wait.
Oh. Yeah. Oh. Oh.
Yeah, your boy was done. He's gone.
Wow.
Ray Cooper.
Wow.
$1 million.
Holy fuck.
Good for him, man.
Hell yeah, good for him. Wow. Dude, Ray Cooper is a problem.
He is, man. And the shaving of the hair is really jarring and super effective.
Yeah. God, he looks so much smaller in there too.
Sorry about that. Ray Cooper, though.
No, that was worth it.
Good shit. All right. So Josh Emmett, Dan Ige, December 11th, UFC 269. Next is Brian Battle versus Tresean Gore. That is the fight that should have happened for the last Ultimate Fighter finale. That was the original fight. So that fight is finally going to get settled February 5th, UFC Fight Night. Very interested in that fight. I was interested in that fight when it was first announced before it got scrapped. So Very excited. Next fight, Mover Evolev. Mark.
Mavsar Evloev.
Oof. There's Mover. Oh, it must have been autocorrect.
Or Evloev, isn't it? Mavsar Evloev, I'm pretty sure.
Evolev. Well, he'll be fighting Ila Topuria.
Yes.
And that'll be on January 22nd, UFC 270. That'll actually be a fantastic fight. There's a lot of violence in that fight right there. And last, but definitely not least, Renato Moicano versus Alexander Hernandez. February 12th, UFC 271.
Nice fight.
That fight is going to be insane. Both of those guys are top level strikers.
Yeah,
can't
I
wait
like
for that
Hernandez
fight.
a lot.
And that's all I got for you boys today. Let's get into some fights for next week.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. The time has come, and so we have arrived. This is why we are fans of the sport for events like this. This upcoming UFC 267 this Saturday day, by the way, for those who might not know, this is a somewhat free card, which is streaming on ESPN Plus. It is not a pay-per-view that you have to cough up like $70 for. Get ESPN Plus for like $7 a month, and you can watch this entire pay-per-view for free, basically. Anyway, this is a stacked card, guys. This is a huge card.
Free card ever, right?
Gotta be.
Yeah.
This seems like a real play by the UFC to just really try to entice a lot of fans to, hop on the pay-per-view buying express here. This is a 15-bout card. It is a huge undercard. And the main card, which starts at, Mark, you said 2 p.m.?
Yes, 2 p.m.
on ESPN Plus. My God. I mean, the names on this card as a fan, you got, two title fights, the light heavyweight title fight between Jan and Glover, Peter Yan versus Corey Sandhagen. Oh my God, that fight is going to be bananas. You got Makhachev, Dan Hooker.
Belt, so.
You got Volkov, Tybura. You got the return of Chimaev. We're going to get into all this stuff. And like so many names going down this card. Let us work up the card, guys. Okay. Let us start. That's right. Let us start with Damir. Excuse me if I butchered the name. Ismagulov versus Magomed. Another friggin' Magomed. Magomed Mustafaev. Mark, let me start with you. What are your impressions of this matchup?
Yeah, right out of the gate, you got two guys whose names end in a V, so you know it's going to be good.
Yeah, baby.
This is a great clash between two up-and-coming lightweights that, frankly, I am shocked is being put on the early prelims. Sometimes lately I've noticed the UFC will juggle their cards on like Thursday or Friday. Like the order will suddenly be changed. So I wonder if that's what's going to happen with this fight. Can't believe it's on so early. But for reference, these are my number 15 for Ismagulov and number 22 lightweights in the world. These boys are legit. Mustafaev finished striking dynamo Rafael Fiziev with a spinning back kick just to show you how dangerous he is. Yes, he got subbed by Kevin Lee. He dropped a tight split decision to Brad Riddell, but we know how good Brad Riddell has looked. The guy's the real deal. Then on the flip, you have Damir Ismagulov, who is 23-1. He's 4-0 in the UFC. He beat Thiago Moises just as easily as Islam Makhachev beat Thiago Moises. Like, the dude is also the real deal. So I think this one will be competitive on the feet. I do think Mustafaev is the more dynamic striker of the two. But I don't think he can keep it there. I think that Ismagulov is just a relentless wrestler. And while Mustafaev can wrestle, he even struggled a bit against Brad Riddell, who is really a kickboxer. So I think Ismagulov can probably put him down, hold him down, and do enough. Maybe he drops around somewhere because like I said, Mustafaev is dynamic. He's dangerous. But I think I'll say 29-28 Ismagulov.
Ismagulov has a stupid record. He is 20-1 as a pro. And his only loss happened.
23-1. I fucked that up.
23-1.
Oh, I was right. Huh.
Okay. His only loss happened back in 2015, and he is undefeated in his 4 fights in the UFC. Omar, what is your take of this lightweight matchup?
Yeah, I mean, the matchup has been pretty much laid out perfectly by Mark.
Good job, Mark.
I mean, realistically, I think that when it comes to fighters that rely on the wrestling game to that extent, I think there's always going to be somebody who, when they can neutralize their ground game and the striking is that much, and the quality of striking from that person is a lot more apparent and better, there's going to kind of be a problem. I think this is that fight personally. I think that Mustafaev is going to have opportunities in this fight to really let his striking go. And I don't think that his wrestling I think his wrestling will be sufficient enough to give him those opportunities where, and I think in a lot of fights that Ismagulov has been in, a lot of those people haven't had those opportunities or found ways to make those opportunities. So I think personally, Mustafaev is going to end up with the victory. I'm going to go second round KO.
Dude, this fight is a gem on the undercard, man. Yeah. Two lesser known names for sure, but if you guys are listening, you can thank us later. This is a freaking undercard gem.
What time is this on? If the main card is at 2, this is on at what, 10 a.m.?
Like 11, I think.
I mean, how many? It's like 9 undercard fights. Yeah, it's probably going to start at like maybe 11.
Yeah.
I'll just wake up and start watching UFC.
Yeah. Seriously, I mean, that's not a bad way to spend a Saturday.
Definitely not.
Let us. Anything else you guys want to say about these two Russian gents?
No, sir. It's a good fight.
Let us talk about on the featured bout on the prelims. We got it women's strawweight Amanda Ribas versus Virna. I'm gonna butcher this. Jandiroba. Jandiroba.
I think it's that. I honestly don't remember, to be honest. I think it's just Jandiroba.
I think Jandiroba or Jandiroba.
Is it?
Let's just go with it. Say it with confidence, baby.
Call her Virna.
Virna, yeah. Okay, Amanda Ribas. I love Amanda Ribas.
Me too.
Coming off a TKO loss against Marina Rodriguez, and Virna coming off a win against Kanako Murata. Omar, what is your impressions of Amanda Ribas trying to come back into the win column?
I'm actually a big Amanda Ribas fan. I like her abilities. I like her striking. I think Jandiroba relies a lot more on brute strength than she does on actual technique. And I think at some point that's going to bite her in the ass. And I think it's bit her in the ass in the past. Personally, I think Amanda Ribas is a lot more of a technical striker than Jandiroba is. And I think Amanda Ribas walks away with it. Unanimous decision.
What do you think, Mark? Ribas, Jandiroba?
I'm looking up the UFC's rankings real quick because I feel like they always hate on Ribas. Oh, they finally have moved her up. She was low for a while. She's number 10 for them now, which is still low for me. I have her at number 7. But yeah, I like Ribas too. Jandiroba's getting a big chance here, and deservedly so. She's looked good. Personally, I don't see how she gets it done. I've seen people picking her. The odds are very tight, which surprised me a little bit. Ribas is a -160 favorite. Jandiroba is a +130 underdog, so it's pretty close. To me, when I look at this fight, I just think that Virna got outstruck by Mackenzie Dern. And Amanda Ribas is a significantly better striker than Mackenzie Dern. And then you could say, okay, but Virna's nasty on the ground, so she could take it there. But, okay, you know who else is nasty on the ground? Amanda Ribas. So I don't know. Maybe I'm missing it on Virna. People do seem to like her. I just don't see how she wins this fight. I think this is Ribas' fight anywhere it takes place. Maybe she can't finish Jandiroba, but I think she takes a clear decision and gets a little more respect for my girl here. She's legit.
I like it. I'm on team Ribas here. And she also just seems like such a sweetie. In all her interviews, she seems
maybe
so nice.
Overly. Like, I feel like if I was around her all the time, I might be like, can you be quiet? Like,
tone it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Opening the main card once again at 2 p.m. on ESPN Plus. We have an awesome clash in the light heavyweight division. Magomed, there's another Magomed. Ankalaev versus Volkan. What is it? No Time? Is it No Time?
Yes, No Time, right?
No Time. Fun nickname. Volkan No Time Oezdemir, man. What a fun light heavyweight clash. Mark, what are your impressions?
Yeah, this is a great contender fight and a great prove-it fight for Magomed Ankalaev. And people forget, Ankalaev should still be undefeated. If it wasn't for 10 seconds of like brain farting and of Paul Craig having stupid, nasty jujitsu, he'd still be undefeated. He beat Paul Craig for about 14 minutes and 50 seconds, every second of the 14 minutes and 50 seconds, and then managed to get triangled pretty much as the bell rang. So the man is the real deal. He's made it this far, pretty much decimating people. He's a big favorite here. He's minus 130. Volkan is plus 260. But with that said, for as long as this one stays on the feet, Volkan's power is a threat at all times.
Always.
So on the feet, I do think it will be competitive. It's possible that Ankalaev is even getting the better of the striking, but the main reason I side with him is because even if he's not, then I think he can just look to his wrestling. He just has more avenues to win for me. I think if need be, he can look for the takedowns, take the fight over that way, and I'll say that he gets a unanimous decision win. I don't think he finishes. Volkan's tough, but I think he gets a clear win.
Omar, Oezdemir steps back into the octagon after himself getting decimated by the rising Jiri Prohaska. Do you think he's going to get back in the win column?
I do not.
Okay.
I do not. I do not at all. No. I'm tired of getting bamboozled by Oezdemir. I keep picking him, and every time I do, I feel like he keeps losing, and I'm tired of his shit.
You got Mark.
So
you got
I'm going to go with Ankalaev. I think Ankalaev has had a good little run going now. We had that whole Kunte Laba bit where the first fight was weird, and then they had a lot of shit talking up to the second fight. And Ankalaev put that boy out. I mean, that's as definite as you want to end a rivalry as it can get. So I'm impressed with him. I'm impressed with his ferocity. I think he definitely has a lot of power. And I'm pretty sure that Volkan's chin is not getting any better than what it is. So I'm going to go with second round KO, and that's out of respect for Oezdemir, because I want to go round to one, but I'll go
really
round
like
two.
that pick. Wow. I like that pick a lot. I will second that. Let us move.
Ankalaev finished.
Yeah, round two. I like that pick. Let us move up this card. We have.
Yeah, we're getting good, man.
Oh my God, this keeps getting better.
And we're so far from the top still. The card is stupid.
I hope you guys have a long drive listening to this, because we're gonna be a minute.
Oh my God, baby. We have real quick. That's right. In the welterweight division, we have Jingliang versus the return of Khamzat Chimaev. This time last year was the hottest prospect in all of MMA. It seems like it was longer than a year ago when he one punch KO'd Gerard Marchart. Mark, let me start with you. What are your impressions of this fight?
It's a great one. We have arrived at the point where we truly find out what Khamzat Chimaev is. However, I do think the UFC absolutely chose the right ranked fighter to put across the cage from their potential new star. I think there's a lot of other welterweights ranked similarly to Jingliang who could have posed unique problems to Chimaev. Whereas for Jingliang, I don't really see what it is that he would pose that would trouble Chimaev. He's kind of jumped to this ranking off beating what some would say was a rusty Santiago Ponzinibbio anyway. I mean, he's good, don't get me wrong, but Jingliang was out-grappled fairly recently by Jake Matthews and even a ways back by Keita Nakamura, who are both good, but neither of them are close to the grappling that Khamzat Chimaev is going to present. So, it's possible that Jingliang can jump on him out of the gate with volume early and spark him out, which if I was his coach, that's exactly what I would be telling him to try to do, especially with Khamzat being out for over a year. And honestly, I'm a little concerned about Khamzat's health after how awful his bout with COVID apparently was. Like, it seemed really bad. But we're told he looks good. We're told he's back to himself. So that's what I got to go off. And if that's the case, I just don't think that Jingliang is a huge challenge. The bookies seem to agree. He is plus 400 right now. Chimaev is minus 550. I'm going to say that maybe there's a couple minutes early while Chimaev kind of gets his feet where it's close, and then Chimaev takes over. I'll say submission round two.
Omar, what's your take? Chimaev undefeated as a pro, and I'm seeing his record also undefeated as an amateur. The man has never lost a fight.
Yeah, and I'm not 100% sold on Chimaev like that. However,
Oh, I'm not either. I just am against Li Jingliang. So let me
yeah,
clarify that. You guys know
yeah,
I've been a little not sold on Chimaev.
I don't think that Li Jingliang has the tools to beat Chimaev based on what we've seen. Li Jingliang is a solid fighter. I don't think that dude is ever going to crack the top 5 personally, at least not based on what I've seen. And I just think Chimaev, based on what we've seen from him, seems to have more tools in the pocket to really get through Jingliang. So my guess is, as tough as Jingliang is, I'm pretty sure he's going to get knocked out in this fight.
Okay.
I'm going to go second round for that too.
I'm going to keep going on the Chimaev train until it derails, guys.
When he fights somebody
against anyone, when he fights Usman, you're picking him.
I have my ticket. We'll see. Okay, let's. Any other?
We're not that far away, man. He beats Lee, he's going to be ranked in the top 10. I'll tell you that right now. They ain't going to waste any time ranking this man.
You're probably right. All right, let's keep going. Okay, let's go into the heavyweights. Alexander Volkov versus Marcin Tybura. Omar, let me start with you. Volkov coming off of a loss against Sirogan. Tybura coming off of, a 5-fight win streak he's bringing into the octagon this time against Volkov. What is your take?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, the way that Volkov fights sometimes drives me crazy because it seems like he's doing really well, but he will literally be the guy to take the foot off the gas when he needs to put it on. And he loses as a result. So Tybura is, in my opinion, a well-rounded fighter. I think he definitely has what it takes to beat Volkov. I don't think it'll be easy. I don't think he runs over Volkov by any stretch of the imagination. But I definitely do think he gets it done, and I'm pretty sure he'll do it by a decision, unanimous.
Wow. Mark, take it.
Wow, I like it. I can't see it, but I like it. This is a great matchup as well. It's as this whole card. It's a deserved shot at a big name for Marcin Tybura. He's had a great 5-fight win streak, and I have liked Tybura in every single one of those. He's got a game that allows him to beat a lot of heavyweights, but I don't like him here. This one is fairly straightforward to me. Volkov will have a 4-inch height and a 2-inch reach advantage. He is the more skilled striker. His takedown D, to me, keeps getting better and better. Even Curtis Blades didn't have an easy time with him. Also, he's huge now. I heard someone say the other day that this new jacked version of Volkov is Swolkov, which I fucking love. I'm probably going to call him that forever. But yeah, I think he'll be able to keep his range for the most part. Again, I think he's the better striker. I think he'll land the better shots. I think he'll rebuff most of Tybura's grappling attempts. Could I see Tybura take a round? Yeah, he's tough and he's got a tricky game for sure. But I'll say Volkov takes the unanimous decision.
Alexander Volkov, to me, when I watch him fight, there are moments in his fights where I think he could be the best heavyweight because of his striking prowess and his sheer size. There are moments where I'm like, he could beat everybody.
Yep.
But like, to Omar's point, there are moments also where he is very frustrating to watch.
Yep.
He is a Russian giant. He also has the biggest back tattoo I've ever seen in my life. And for that reason, I'm going to take Alexander Volkov. I'm kidding. I do think he's going to get it done over Tybura.
He's 3-1 favorite for what it's worth. I left that out. He is minus 300 and Tybura is plus 235. So Omar, that may be a bet for you, my friend.
I told you my bets are purely emotional. I don't think this. It's not a good idea.
I try so hard to not make picks emotionally. It's depressing sometimes.
So
Okay, guys. We are getting into.
Oh yeah, we are
the meat here. I feel like this card, like every card has the main event and the co-main. I feel like this card has 2 co-mains.
Agree totally.
This feels like a title fight, and it's not a title fight.
You're so right. This fight is incredible. Dan Hooker taking on Islam Makhachev, or Makhachev, however you want to say it. An incredible lightweight matchup. Mark, let me start with you. What do you make of this matchup?
I love every single thing about this fight, and I want to pick Dan Hooker so badly. I love Dan Hooker. I love that he jumped into this fight. I love that he stayed in the States to do it instead of going home when a lot of people didn't want to fight with Islam. Short notice, the whole deal. Hooker's the man. The matchup is friggin' awesome. Speaking of betting, I am certainly sprinkling a bet on him. It won't be huge, but I will sprinkle something because Dan Hooker being plus 500 is just disrespectful. I don't know how those are the odds.
Is he really 500?
Makhachev is minus 650 and Hooker is plus 500.
That's ridiculous.
Which is wild to me. I thought it was going to start with a 2 maybe. So, yeah. Islam Makhachev is 20-1. He's 10-1 in the UFC. He's been around, but I will argue that Islam Makhachev, through all those fights, has never stood across from a true finisher. If you look at his record, maybe you find one in there that you say, oh, that guy's a finisher. There's not really anyone on there. Dan Hooker can finish a fight from anywhere at any time with any weapon in any way. Striking or grappling, he is a dangerous man. And that is why I love this fight. Because of that, I think Islam actually ends up playing this fight very safe, at least maybe for the first half of it, as he's feeling it out. Now, on the flip side, Dan Hooker is certainly not unbeatable. And he's never fought anyone with wrestling that is even in the realm of Makhachev. So there's nothing you can really fall back on positively in Hooker's corner there for how he's going to deal with that wrestling. He also hasn't had an ideal training camp, staying in the States. He's not with his usual team, etc. With that said, I think Dan Hooker is going to come out and tease us. I think he wins round 1. I think he maybe even hurts Islam or puts him in danger in round 1.
Ooh.
But I will say that Islam survives it, gets his game working, stays safe from that point on after feeling some power maybe, and it just turns depressing because Hooker can't stop it. I don't think Islam will finish Hooker, but I think that the latter 10 minutes of this fight will be Islam controlling him, and it will be an ugly 29-28 win that maybe takes a little bit of luster off the Islam rose because he's going to have to win it ugly.
Okay, Omar, what is your take?
It's Islam has such potential, right? Like we all know he has potential, but what exactly is his ceiling? Everybody's, touting him and you've got Khabib, basically making him the next best thing at this point. And that's all well and good. But the reality is the quality of his wins in his resume are not there. They're just not. That is a fact. Hooker has quality wins on his resume. We know that he's been through the fire. We know that he's been able to frankly, to lose to the best and to beat the best at the same time. Makhachev has lost and has been knocked out. So he's not Khabib. He's been knocked out. And he's been knocked out by Adriano Martins, which is nothing, frankly, super special. Yep. So I think Dan Hooker has a lot more tools than Martins does. Obviously, that was years ago at this point. But Dan Hooker is no slouch. I don't think Dan Hooker will necessarily succumb to Makhachev's game because his game is not Khabib's, right? He does rely on his striking in a different way that Khabib doesn't. And so the ground game, while he's significantly good at it, is not his number one thing. And so I think there will be opportunities for Dan Hooker. I don't think Dan Hooker will be put in a position that he's never been in before, that all of a sudden he doesn't know what he's doing or how to get out of it, or this guy's so much better than me in this area. I don't think that will happen. And I think that it's going to come down to a decision. I wouldn't be surprised if it becomes a split decision, to be honest, because I do think Makhachev is a very, very good fighter. But I do think that that Hooker will end up coming out the victorious.
Wow. You're taking Dan Hooker. Wow.
Love it.
With all
Boy, do I pray you're right and I'm wrong.
Oh my God. I'm going to be rooting for Dan Hooker so hard.
Hell yeah.
I might have to put a bet down. Plus 500 is crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yes, sir.
Dan Hooker is going to be 2 inches taller and have a nearly 5-inch reach advantage.
Wow.
Yeah, I just
ways, man. There's ways.
Yeah.
He's long on his punches. He's got the flying knees, which are a factor. He snatches necks well.
that's the other thing is like Dan Hooker's not the type of person to be afraid of somebody because of who they are and like what they might do to him. Or like a lot of guys will basically try to avoid the ground game because they're Islam Makhachev, right? Islam Makhachev, don't take him to the ground. Stay standing the whole time. Try to strike with the guy. Dan Hooker didn't give a shit. Dan Hooker, if he finds your neck, he's going to go for it. Damn who you are. Damn your skill set. I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and I'm going to finish you. That's the best thing about Hooker. And Hooker's been, like I said, tried and tested, and he's come out on top multiple times. I think he takes it. I really do.
That'd be awesome.
Oh, all right.
Man, we have more fights.
Two more, baby.
Two more.
Let's go.
Bantamweight. Peter Yan, Corey Sandhagen. Holy shit. What a fight.
Interim title. Can't leave that out.
Yes, absolutely. Let's be real, guys. This is for the title. Come on.
Yeah.
Okay. Omar, let me throw this one to you first. Yan Sandhagen. What is the take?
I like Peter Yan, but I don't think Peter Yan is unbeatable by any stretch of the imagination. Corey Sandhagen, also very good. Also not unbeatable, obviously. I think this is a real clash. I wish I had a real take like I did with Makhachev and Hooker, but the reality is that both of these guys are very, very dangerous guys. I think Sandhagen might have an advantage when it comes to the physicality. I believe he's taller, right? He's taller. He's definitely got a reach advantage.
Of course, yeah, much taller.
Right.
He's taller than everybody.
So I mean, it's it should definitely play well into the game, but at the same time, Peter Yan's pressure is something else. That dude's going to come forward the entire time. Sandhagen is known for kind of trying to keep his distance and back up and use his length as a way to do that. But Peter Yan is not the type of person to stay away and allow somebody to play their own game. So it'll be very, very interesting. It really, really could go either way. If I had to pick, gun to my head, I think I go Yan.
Okay. Wow.
I think I go Yan. By decision, but I go Yan.
So Corey is 4 inches taller and 3-inch reach advantage to your point.
Yeah.
And Mike, I just realized, did you give us a take on Hooker? Because we might have to circle back to that. Did you pick that fight? We'll do that after.
Mike thought he's getting away with it.
We won't pause the middle of Sandhagen and Yan.
Okay. No, okay.
But yeah, how freaking good is this fight? You can't save a title fight falling through much better than with this booking. Corey's a 2-1 dog here. He's plus 200. Yan is minus 250, but he is a live dog in my opinion. I view this really as a coin flip fight. Somehow I still struggle to form a full opinion on Petr Yan, which doesn't really make any sense at this point. I think maybe after this fight, I'll finally have my answer of how I view him. If this thing stays on the feet, it's going to be absolutely electric. Like we were saying with the size, Yan is basically the same size as TJ. So Corey's going to have the same length and reach advantage that he usually does, and that he just did in that TJ fight. But Yan doesn't necessarily have the same footwork that TJ has. So there's an argument to be made that Corey will have an easier time landing that kill shot of his. And I think his flying knee is in play. Yan kind of has that hunch stance at times that he fights in. Mm-hmm. But he is tough as hell. It's going to be really hard to get him out of there. I do think Corey's movement, as I said, is going to be an advantage because Jan's is not quite the same, but I think Yan will probably try to go heavy on the leg kicks to try to limit that a bit. But more so than that, I think that Yan looks to his wrestling here. Maybe not like extended periods on the ground because Corey's kind of opportunistic with his sub game. But takedowns and periods of control to try to make sure that he's kind of dictating how the fight takes place. And honestly, if Corey continually gives his back the way that he did against TJ, he will not skate by in the same manner. Yan will put him on his ass if he has his back standing like that. And Corey tends to do that in a lot of fights, so he's going to have to watch that. I don't know. I don't know how to call it.
Yeah, man.
I don't think either of them has fought anyone quite like the other. I see it super tight. Jan tends to start slow. So I will say I think Corey probably wins round 1, maybe even round 2. The question is just, do I believe that he can get Jan out of there? Because if not, I could easily see Jan come back and start to swing it in his favor and win the rest of the fight, or even find his own finish. I don't know.
Let's go. Gun to your head.
I'm gonna take a risk and make a very exact prediction.
Of course.
I am gonna say Corey wins rounds 1 and 2. Jan wins round 3 and 4, and then Corey guts out the 5th round to win the fight.
Wow.
That's crazy specific.
Love it. Love it. And I also love the specificity. Man, I want to pick Corey Sandhagen so bad. I want to say that he is more of a cobra in there with his striking and with his length, and he's going to really surprise Peter Yan. But that would be an emotional pick. And I just feel like the smart pick is just Peter Yan. I mean, the guy he's not undefeated, but he's damn close. I don't really count the Aljo loss because he wasn't
winning the fight.
He wasn't murdering Aljo, but he was really pulling away in that fight. He was really pulling away. Other than that, he has 1 loss on his record. The guy is he's so skilled. He is the best bantamweight in the world right now. And he's also super tough. He can take a punch. He's not easily put away at all. He has a chin. Oh, God. So I'm going to have to take Peter Yan. I'll just say by decision. Why not? Oh, my God. It's crazy. Okay.
Yeah, my picking Sandhagen may have something to do with my struggle to evaluate Peter Yan. But I will say Aljo landed a lot in those first 2 rounds. And if Sandhagen gets to land that much, it's a lot different than Aljo landing on you like that. So we shall see.
Mike, you don't get to skip the hooker pick.
Yeah,
let's hear
it.
Okay. You know, I'm just gonna have to take Makhachev. Makhachev.
That's why he didn't want to do it. That's why he didn't want to do it.
Again, like my emotional pick would be Dan Hooker, obviously. Man, these last 3 fights of this card, the main event we're about to get to, is one of these like pay-per-views where these last few fights take me on such an emotional roller coaster that by the end of it all, I'm going to be so spent.
Yeah.
Let's get into the.
It's only going to be like guys. 6 p.m. You're going to have to go cook dinner.
Exactly. Okay. This main event, light heavyweight title fight, Jan Blachowicz versus Glover Teixeira. Glover makes it back to a title fight. I think this is his 2nd UFC title fight after the Jones fight.
Yes, correct.
Omar, let me start with you, buddy. What do you think?
Very interesting fight.
Does the Polish Hammer get it done? Defend his title again?
It's got to be one of the first times I've been excited around light heavyweight since John Jones has kind of disappeared from the picture, because it just made things so volatile now. We don't really know who's going to end up with the belt at the end of the day, and there's a real fun to that, which I kind of missed in the division. So having said that, I think if there was a time for Glover to win a belt, it's now.
Right now.
It's literally right now. Glover was never going to beat John Jones for a light heavyweight championship. So he ain't around no more. He's dropping in the rankings, in the pound for pound rankings.
What is he
now?
Don't know if John
Jones. I don't know. John Jones, I think he's out of the top 3 for sure. For the first time in who knows how long.
He's gonna go to bare knuckle, guys.
That dude will break all the bones in his body. But Glover, I think has a real shot here. I think personally, both of their styles are very complementary to one another. I don't really think Jan has anything that he does significantly better than Glover does. I think if anything, Glover's ground game is probably significantly better than Jan's is. And I think his striking is comparable to Jan, so I don't think there's a real advantage there. So I think that Glover on paper should be able to get this done and finally get the strap.
Wow.
I would love that. I don't dislike Jan at all, but
Same.
I feel like this would be really special for Glover, man.
Yes.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Mark, what do you think?
Omar coming with the bold picks tonight.
Yeah, really, man.
Although I guess I took Corey.
It's a great card, man. I need these picks for the great card.
Yeah. First of all, I'm so glad that we're here. And despite the delay for waiting for Jan to fight Izzy and the rise of Yuri Prohaska, that nothing stupid happened to mess this up, and that Glover is getting the shot that he rightfully deserves. It's awesome that he's even here at 41 years old. There was a time a few years back where he had lost 3 out of 5, where no one would have predicted he'd be fighting for a title again. It kind of seemed like it was over.
Yeah.
But he's now rattled off 5 in a row, 4 of them finishes. He has refused to be beaten in there. He's taken some damage to come back and get W's. And now he has a chance to become the second oldest UFC champion ever, behind only Randy Couture, which would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
On the flip, Jan's rise to dominance is still a great story in itself. He's made such unbelievable strides since early in his UFC career and has looked borderline unbeatable as of late. As for the matchup, there's some big questions. The first to me is whether Glover can handle the Polish power. He may not be able to withstand the shots from Jan the way that he has from these other guys. From there, you consider the grappling of Glover that has been so strong and efficient of late. And remember that Jan can be taken down, as Corey Anderson certainly showed. Granted, Jan has improved his takedown D of late, I would say, and Glover is not Corey Anderson. On the flip, Jan's offensive wrestling has improved. But does he really want to be on the mat with Glover Teixeira and risk being down there with a BJJ black belt of that caliber? On the feet, I don't want anyone to forget how good Glover's boxing is, even though Jan's kind of the power puncher. Like, Glover's boxing is the skill that originally carried him to this level. There's a lot to consider. There's a lot of little caveats in this fight, different ways advantages can play out. In all, I wish that Glover didn't have this whole year off this late in his career. It really felt like he was rolling, and now he's been out for a while. In the end, it's just hard for me to pick against Jan right now. He seems to be operating at such a high level, and what it really comes down to for me is that first point, that I believe if Jan lands flush on Glover, he won't bungle it the way some of these other guys have. He won't rush it. Like, he is a skilled finisher, and he may not even need to because his power is so big. I will say Jan retains the title, 3rd round TKO.
Damn, man. Damn. Omar, you gave us a pick?
Yeah.
Tell me again what your pick was.
It was Glover. I don't think I said how.
Well, gentlemen, I'm gonna bring this thing in with my pick, and I'm gonna pick this time with my heart. Glover Teixeira, 1st round knockout in the first 10 seconds. That's the pick.
hell?
I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
I was like, holy fuck.
No,
Oh, man.
I'll say Glover. I'll say Glover. I think he's gonna get it done. It's gonna be a great little storyline for the UFC right here. Terrible pick. Terrible. Awful pick. Mark, you're totally right. I should have gone with Jan. That's a smart pick.
The odds are not crazy wide. I forgot to mention them. Jan is minus 275, Glover's plus 225. So, like, they're not tight, but they're not. They're giving Glover a shot.
And look, Glover, part of the headline here is that Glover is 40 years old plus. But let's not forget that Jan Blachowicz is 38 years old.
He's 38. Wow. Yeah. I knew he was up there, but yeah.
They're the same height. They're the same height. Their reach is only 2 inches apart.
Who has the reach, Jan?
Yeah.
My biggest issue really with Jan has really been the fact that a lot of his wins as of late have been against middleweights. And I just I'm not really sure what I'm really supposed to take away from that. Like, you beat Izzy. That's probably the best win out of that group. And you more controlled, but he more controlled him, right? Like, he won the fight, but like, he didn't really beat Izzy in a fight, if that makes sense. The Dominic Reyes one, to be honest, was probably
they sparred. I'll say that to the end of time. They sparred.
Yeah. But the Luke Rockhold one, the Jacare one, like,
I mean, he KO'd Corey Anderson, which is looking better and better as time goes on.
Yeah.
It seriously is.
Yeah, and again, we could always definitely talk about the fact that he might have just gotten caught in that moment, which that is what it is. The Dominic Reyes one, as far as I'm concerned, was the one that he was the most dominant in, where that was not an accident. He was beating the shit out of Dominic Reyes for like 2 rounds.
Yes.
So I mean, I just think that Glover has more of those quality wins than Jan does, and that's not to say that Jan doesn't have them, but there's just more on Glover's resume. I just think he can get it done.
Okay.
It would be awesome.
He definitely would.
Well, there you have it, guys. There you have it.
Wait,
Yeah.
before we start moving our way out, Mark, I'm sorry if this kills your shit here.
No,
Kayla Harrison.
Yeah.
$1 million. Kayla Harrison.
Another mill.
Another milli.
Let's
Jeez.
go
Didn't
ahead.
see that coming.
Let's say bye-bye to the PFL and let's get her in a cage with Cyborg or Nunez.
They need to pay her. Otherwise she's not going. You gotta pay the girl. She's gonna keep walking through and just getting $1 million wins.
You hear Kayla Harrison talk. She is in this game to take names and make a legacy. So I don't see any way that she stays in the PFL. Anyway, I think she, as whatever offer is better, Bellator, UFC, even if PFL's is 5 times that, I think she's taking whichever is better out of Bellator and UFC and putting herself with a chance to either be beating Cyborg or Nunez.
Yeah.
Hey, here's a fun piece of trivia. I'm just scrolling through this man's record. Don't look. Glover Teixeira. Ready for this? Glover Teixeira's first fight as a professional.
I know this.
In MMA, his first fight as a professional was a loss against a man named Eric Schwartz back in 2002. Omar, don't look. What promotion was this fight?
It's not a question I thought you were going to ask.
What promotion was this fight?
Wait. Okay. Yeah. No, this is the question I thought you were going to ask.
Okay.
I confused my own self. I know this because I've watched this fight.
Really?
Fuck. What is?
You
I got
watched
it.
this
I got it.
fight?
I got it. I got it. I got
You
it.
watched this fight in 2002? Jeez.
I
Bro,
got
in
it.
2002.
Is it
I didn't watch it
Pride?
in 2002. I watched
You were like
it.
14.
I watched it years later, but I know it.
Is it Pride?
No.
Nope.
This
It
is a fun
is-
little factoid.
It is WEC.
The
It is,
WEC. Jan Blachowicz, his first fight, Glover Teixeira, his first fight, which was a loss, was in the WEC.
Yep.
How funny. In 2002.
The WEC was a weird organization because like they had super
mostly-
big guys and then super small guys.
Yeah, I thought WC only did lighter weight classes.
So that was later, but yeah, originally they had those guys, and they were weird at the time because like guys would fight in the UFC, and then they would fight in the WEC, and then they would like 6 months later be fighting in the UFC again. Like,
Yeah.
they had this weird like thing going on.
It almost became like a farm league. Like they were just basically taking all of their champions. And that's why when they integrated,
so-
they just took everybody.
I should have clarified. No, it wouldn't be if you won in the UFC, but if you lost in the UFC, you'd kind of end up there, and then if you won there, you'd end up back in the UFC. Like that's kind of how it seemed. At a certain-
Oh, the losing and going to WEC. I didn't know.
yeah. In the early days.
Yeah.
This was from when I watched all this fight library shit during COVID and all that.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Did you like poop your pants where you're like, holy shit, there's Glover Teixeira? In
Yeah,
2002?
I did. That's why I when you started saying it, I knew it was that, and then I confused my own self. But yeah, I got it together. He fought a couple more times in WC, didn't he? Or at least once more because he got a
Yes.
win.
He fought 3 more times in the
Yeah.
WEC.
Yeah.
And that
Oh.
his first fight, which was a loss, was in WEC's 3rd event.
Yeah. That
That's
was before
crazy.
that was before he got stuck in Brazil with all the visa troubles that he had.
Wow. How cool
We
is
did it,
that?
boys.
Hey, we did it. Let's
We
put a
did
bow
it.
on this one.
That was a great episode if I
Kiss
do
it
say so
goodbye.
myself.
Thank you.
Now
and good night.
Saturday just needs to get here so we can watch this shit really go down.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
you want to
man.
babysit my kid, let me know.
No, thank you.
All right, folks.
I wasn't
we will
talking to you.
Thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen, for sticking with us. Final time, like and subscribe to this video on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up, like this video. It's going to help us out so much. Never miss an episode. If you want that audio only version, Get us wherever you get your podcast. Listen to us on your commute. Listen to us when you're doing your dishes. It's all good, baby. And find us on social media, of course, at @&new_MMA show in all the places. Gentlemen, any parting shots?
Drink lasted the whole show. You can't do better than that. You too. Wow, look at that.
I might go see this fight at Wild Wings now that I won't have to be there until like 2 a.m.
Nice.
I might do that this time.
All right, folks. See you next week.
Thanks for listening, people.
Peace.
Peace.